Good morning and welcome back to the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast. I am your host, Chris. We are back from break. I was gone for a week, 10 days in Alaska on a cruise with my family. And then, true to form, on a vacation, I ended up getting sick. So I took the following week off, and I'm still recovering from it. It's like this lingering sort of tiredness thing. It's a good time. So if I am sneezing or snorting or whatever, then I apologize. I'm sure you'll all
Got the
deal with it.
Alaska bug.
Yeah. So of course, every week I'm joined by Baby, who's in my lap, Pumpkin, who's over there staring at me, and a special guest. This week's special guest is Thomas Allenbaugh,
It's
one of
me again.
my partners at Multivarious, the first hire I ever did for Multivarious, and he is the lead, the technical lead, the lead programmer, amongst other things. But we have got a lot of interesting topics. We actually have so many topics this week that I had to slice some off for next week, because it has been a wild week of news. So Tom, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
How are you doing today?
Pretty good. Had my choir night last night. I do it on Tuesday nights, so my voice is always a little bit hoarse on Wednesdays. That's why
Yeah.
it's always like my day for the meetings and streaming and teaching and all that
Well,
good
and
stuff. So
you are in the Minicore, the German choir. So not only are you
yeah,
singing choiry, but you're singing German choiry.
yeah. We get a little English here and there, but yeah, it's a lot of fun. Like
You
drinking
got to have your
songs
English.
and yeah, helps connect with the people.
All right,
But yeah, it's a lot of fun.
cool. Well, let's get started with just a couple quick things before we get into the meat of uh, what we're going to talk about. So first up, let me pull this up. This is just wrong thing, wrong tab. There we go. Pull this up. A reminder that Summer Games Fest is starting. So the Summer Games Fest stream is happening. You can see here there's a big list. This is on gameindustry.biz. But Summer Games Fest, Friday, June from 5 Eastern. And so, yeah, if you want to check that out, I'd say go for it. I unfortunately won't be able to check it out. Otherwise, I would do a live stream with you all. But the Columbus Arts Festival is this Friday, so I will not be able to watch that. Otherwise, I think it would be really fun to do a live stream of of all the stuff. So, yeah, Tom, I don't know if you are you going to be watching
Yeah,
the Summer
I'm
Games
also at
Fest?
Columbus Arts Fest this year.
Oh,
Well,
are
I
you?
might be able to catch some of the Saturday stuff. I'm mostly doing Arts Fest on like Friday and Sunday, but like so I might be able to check it out on Saturday. It's
Yeah,
always exciting to see.
the Arts Fest patron party is on Friday at like 5:30. So that's
Ooh, yeah,
smack
that
dab in the middle of
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, Arts Fest exactly. Let's see if somebody in our network isn't going and can maybe check it out for us and keep us updated.
Yeah.
But
So this is cool. I was like, sort of. It seems like this is trying to fill the hole that E3 has left. Um, since it's not going to be around anymore, and so I think that's cool. Uh, it's always nice to have some sort of centralized thing where gamers can kind of get together and see what new cool stuff is coming out. Everything is so fragmented and siloed these days that the opportunities for sort of joint communal experiences is just becoming less and less. So I'd
yeah,
recommend watching it. If the team here decides to do some kind of like live stream or whatever, I'll let people know. But
cool.
maybe we'll do a joint like live stream thing for the Game Awards towards the end of the year. And of course, we'll be doing stuff for GDEX proper. But yeah, I just wanted to bring this up for one of our community spotlights. Um, all right, this other thing I think is cool. It's not really the biggest thing, but so Atari announces Intellivision brand acquisition. This is from Game Informer. Brian Shea is the author. Acquisitions are rampant in the games industry recently. Atari announced it has purchased the Intellivision brand and more than 200 games from Intellivision Entertainment.
Mm.
As part of the deal, Intellivision Entertainment will rebrand and continue developing and distributing the Amico game console with a license from Atari, distribute new versions of Intellivision games on the console. Atari will also look to expand digital and physical distribution of legacy Intellivision games, potentially creating new games and exploring licensing opportunities. So,
Mm.
Tom, what do you think? I know that we've been
Really
trying to,
reaching, retro
yeah,
fans and like,
yeah, there's been this
um,
continual kind of push for a while to like keep bringing out older, retro stuff. Um, and it just hasn't caught on. There's just a whole host of, I mean, I grew up with these games, so like I remember a lot of them. But there's, just this giant catalog of games that never kind of went anywhere, and like they didn't have the legs that like, Mario had or whatever. So
mhm.
what do you think, Thomas?
It feels a little like somebody owns these properties and they want to do something with them. I think if it were me, if I was like, oh, here's the Intellivision catalog, like we gotta do something with it and make it grow, I'd be like, well, for these kind of games, like I feel like a lot of the, I feel like the angle should be like some kind of communal, like either have like some kind of centralized like leaderboards, because a lot of these retro games are like score based or like speed run based, so you could do like speed running and like
Yeah, I
high
mean, a lot of
score
these are
like
like
challenge.
arcadey of arcadey games,
Exactly. So like having it be like, oh, if you were like, oh, here's the entire Intellivision catalog, and it's connected to a central competitive gaming like leaderboard system, like that would probably get me going a little bit and be like, oh yeah, that's cool. You can like just by playing a few of these games, you can just like be on this like central leaderboard of like this particular like slice of gaming history, because they do have a history angle, and I think people can get excited about that for sure. Like I'd
Sure.
be interested to like play somebody else's. I don't have the nostalgia I think that you would need to have be like a primary customer of this. Um, but it is cool, like ColecoVision lurking around the corner, maybe like
Hmm.
the greatest rivalry of all time. Uh,
Yeah,
but
I,
no,
it is it is kind of funny. I think that sorry, sweet pea, and I don't mean anything negative by this, but that Atari is still around. It's like they've been on the verge of death multiple times over the past 40 years.
well,
Um,
they caused and survived the Great Crash, so I mean
yeah,
they know how to survive a video game apocalypse.
I mean,
But
yeah, they've got the battle scars, I guess, and they're trying to make it happen, um, which is
they
great.
kind of see
There's a
themselves
big
as like
uh,
pioneers.
there was an article that we didn't pull out for the Sandbox. Um, I don't know, maybe a month ago, talking about history of video games and video game preservation. And it's a hard space uh, because it's like one of our greatest strengths being on the cutting edge of technology is also a really big barrier and hindrance because it's just so hard to keep all of those games functioning on new and current hardware.
Yeah,
And as the game catalogs continue to grow, then you just kind of have to ask yourself, like, we only have so much time. Like, what are we going to convert every Atari game into Unity? And
yeah.
then we just have to maintain this giant catalog of Unity um, projects. That is like tens of thousands of Unity projects. So the fact that Atari is buying this Intellivision properties and maybe doing something with them is cool. Um,
That would be wild if like Unity came out and was like, here's a console and any Unity project that's ever been made, you can play it on this thing. Like something
yeah,
of that nature would be wild. But I mean, it's from the article. It doesn't. It just sounds like it's one of those like, you know, like what Nintendo did with their like classic consoles. It's just a little standalone thing to play their
It
library
could
on.
be. I have an Atari. I have an Atari and a ColecoVision Mini sitting over there, and I have an
Uh,
I have an SNES Classic too, which is the SNES Classic. Like I think they're incredibly hard to find, but if you can find one, they are fucking amazing. It's like the games on that thing are just like top notch games. Um, so I would, if you can find one, and it's got Earthbound on it, which I've never played. So I was uh, thinking about making Earthbound one of my summer games. So we'll see. I'm already into June, and we're
and then you can talk about it with my sister, and she loves that game.
yeah.
Played it multiple times at this point.
um,
Um,
but yeah,
that's like people like out there replaying like games. You know, it's like when none of them have played more than like 0.001% of the games out there. Like
yeah.
so, and television's very niche, and it's like okay, I can see they just need to do something with it. I don't know how they. I don't know what the revenue streams look like. If it's something that's like, yeah, they just need they don't need that many people to buy it to turn a profit on it, then you know that might make sense for them.
My guess is
I
they
think it's
just want the IPs that they're going
yeah,
to do a bunch of licensing deals and stuff around the IP.
I think they probably just have like a handful of like games that are actually nostalgic and popular, and they can basically just be like, hey, here's one easy way to like you know whatever get those games that you played, and oh yeah, the rest like a good chunk of the library is riding along with it, and we can just say yeah, people love all these games, but I mean
Sure.
yeah, I guess I'll judge it based on if I know anybody who owns one in a year from now or something.
All right, well, let's go to our next article then. This one I think is going to be a quick one. But I just saw this. I was like, League of Legends are flabbergasted. Fans are flabbergasted at the new $500 Ari skin. I don't know how you pronounce that. This is from Polygon. Cass Marshall. Blah 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 blah. Riot has started a new initiative. Where is this? Here we go. Skins. International Star of Evil in the Woods. Blah blah blah. One new skin has raised fear among fans because it's top tier. It costs a whopping $500. What are we thinking about that? $500 for a skin?
Well, must have the customer base for them, not for normal folks. If they got
Yeah,
people already used to spending nearly that much, or they like look at their whale list of users and they're like, yeah, they're already like $1,000 in or something. Like they're not gonna, you know, ah,
I just feel
it's
like it's getting $500 for a digital asset that has no real world value. You can't sell it, you can't invest it, you can't do anything with it. I mean, I guess
it's
if you
not
got the
even an
money, then
NFT. It's not even an NFT.
yeah, that is just that's a lot. That's a lot. And it really sort of equates to like a digital kind of dick waving contest where it's just like,
Pretty
oh,
much.
I have the money to, well, you either have the money to afford this or you make a poor purchasing decision.
They
And
want to like raise the ceiling of what's been observed in the market so that the like the window of average moves with it, like kind of like an Overton window, if you know that term.
I know that
Be
term,
like,
yeah.
yeah. So if they put out something extreme like that, then it'll make you know slightly higher costs in other places feel a lot more reasonable for folks.
Yeah.
Like take the shock away from higher prices by just coming out swinging with a is a $50 skin. Go for it. Like yeah, it's kind of cynical. I think the idea like they know that they have users that this will work for, and they're gonna do it, and they're gonna use it to talk it up with their investors, and you know, like you said, just a little flex for just I don't know, yeah, just show off that that they have customers that dedicated. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I've
mm,
probably, I honestly don't know actually how much money I've
that's a
put into um
that's a that's a
Path
good
of
chat.
Exile.
Like,
Yeah, I'm
oh
looking
yeah,
at it. But Path of Exile is completely free, just like League of Legends. And I've bought some stuff, but I've bought things in like $10 or $20 increments, like a
Yeah.
$20 season pass, which covers,
Yeah.
3 months, because I want to sort of support them. But man, five, I mean, I guess there are people in my Path of Exile league that have spent thousands and thousands of dollars, or my Path of Exile guild or clan or whatever they're called. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, you could do that over time, but to do that, $500 in one purchase is quite a
Yep.
bit.
$500.
I'm thinking, actually,
It
I'm
was the
starting.
dollar bill app, like the little spinny gold dollar sign that was like a really like maximum price app
Yeah.
that somebody just put out to be like, yep, somebody will buy it. Uh,
Hmm.
it's,
Yeah.
imagine being like the pressure of
Prestige
being the
purchases
artist.
for sure.
The pressure of being the artist for the $500 skin is ridiculous. Like, uh,
Oh yeah, you think the expectations are going to be like through the roof
I
on
would think
that?
so. I mean, it better like, it better like play movies for you. I mean, it better like come give you a massage. Like I don't, it
Yeah, I
better
don't.
better.
Yeah, I don't know how cool, because then there's always the gameplay element as well, right?
Mhm.
Where it can't be, I guess, too ostentatious, because you don't want it to be disruptive or distracting. But also, I mean, it's League of Legends, so I don't know how expansive you're really going to get. You know.
Just that dedicated to your game, and it's for the company to show off, for the person who buys it to show off.
Yeah,
It's like an automatic. I'm a got disposable income signifier, so like allowing everybody to peacock out there. Like, okay,
yeah,
must be nice. It must be nice.
yeah. All right, are you ready to jump into the big one here?
Yeah, and we got the biggest one in the middle. That's probably good. Like
Yeah, well,
classic
we've got another one
narrative
that
art.
potentially could be big, but this is boom. IGN Entertainment acquires Eurogamer, Game Informer, VG247, Rock Paper Shotgun, and more, including, I believe, Digital Foundry. Yeah, Digital Foundry, Outside Xbox. So they don't own it completely, but they have shares in it. Hookshot. So IGN Entertainment has acquired the Gamer Network family of digital brands for an undisclosed sum. IGN Entertainment is a division of Ziff Davis, includes IGN, Map Genie, How Long to Beat, Humble Bundle, and has acquired the websites from PAX, the New York Comic Con organizer ReedPop, which initially bought the Gamer Network business in 2018. So, IGN and parent company, I mean, that's pretty much, I guess, what, Polygon's not on here, but I mean, that's pretty much all of the big gaming news and entertainment sources. How do we feel about all of our all of our gaming news and information being consolidated pretty much under one umbrella?
Mm, yeah. Is it gonna maybe look the same? Like they'll just have a bunch of like labels under. They'll keep all the labels alive, and
I assume they're going to keep all
I.
the brands alive, but then I believe this also was followed up by layoffs, if I remember
Mm,
correctly. Let me
right. So we're
see.
like, oh well, we can centralize yada yada yada, and whatever raise efficiencies, but yeah, you're gonna lose something. It kind of reminds me of how like a lot of like local news stations that are secretly owned by big subsidiary corporation will like use the same like will just have the same story run on all these like local stations and make it seem like they're all like organically reporting, but it's that we could see that kind of thing, and that gives them so much power to influence the consumer market, like being able
Yeah,
having all these seemingly different looking news sources coming from the same entity. I mean, you got to watch that so carefully for like insider trading and stuff at that point. Like that, yeah, that seems a little problematic. I'm
I
not
think
a
I think it
lawyer.
I think it definitely. Well, yeah, I'm not a lawyer either, but I think it definitely is problematic. I also think, just sort of at a very base level, ignoring any sort of the maybe ethical issues or whatever, um, I think we're just going to have sort of the same kind of editorial standards put across all of the sites, which means, I mean, like for example, it's hard enough for an indie game to get any press coverage as it is.
Hmm.
Now, if all of these sites are sort of adhering to the same kind of, like I said, editorial standards, is it going to be almost impossible for smaller stories to get out there? I don't know how much energy or whatever they're going to exert over, like Digital Foundry is one of my favorite places. And I know when they got by ReedPop, they've expressed this. The Digital Foundry guys have said it pretty much felt that like they didn't care. Like ReedPop just bought all of these companies to make money, didn't really understand them, didn't really provide them the support. So maybe IGN will provide them the support because they're sort of like in it, you know. They're in the
Yeah.
industry. ReedPop is like an events, they're the ones that do like Penny Arcade Expo. So like I've never gotten the impression that ReedPop gives two shits about video games. I think they just see these as ways of making money, right?
Hmm.
Maybe IGN will be better, but man, I don't know. It's to have, you know, I mean, I that probably represents 80% of gamer news, I would think.
Yeah, like it's a friendly face for the monolith, but yeah, like you might prefer them over some other owners, but yeah, I think I feel like most people would prefer like decentralized things here. Like it's kind of yeah, like when you because like everybody like everybody has like connections, like different games journalists have connections to the studios that they've done stories on, and like you build these relationships person to person, and if you centralize all of it, then everybody's essentially 1 degree away from each other, and it seems like you could end up in a situation where like the really well connected people are the ones who get coverage everywhere, and they just kind of drown out like because ideally you want to be shining light in every little nook and cranny of the gaming world, and there's only so much space on the website. People only have so much time to like dig through your website, so things are naturally going to get prioritized. And if everybody's 1 degree of separation from each other through IGN, then it seems like they could all be scratching each other's backs more than going out and looking for new stories and new creators to spotlight. So that's
Hmm.
worrisome. But I hope they are aware of the ramifications, and they want to be good stewards. But I think we historically prefer the not an autocracy. Yeah, even a benevolent autocracy is still an autocracy. So uh, yeah,
Sure.
like
Yeah.
uh,
Well, I just think
keep an eye on that.
when it comes to news and information, I mean, you want a variety. We're having this outside the gaming space where like a lot of our local newspapers and stuff are just gone. And so it's
Mhm.
becoming consolidated into these larger entities
Yeah,
that then gets um I guess what the word be augmented by social media and YouTube and stuff. Which is fine. Like I want there to be voices for people. But the problem is, in my humble opinion, that because the barriers for entry pretty much don't exist on things like social media and YouTube, that also means you just have a lot of people on there who don't know what they're doing, don't know what they're talking about, and then they start engaging in, we'll say, less than savory journalistic practices to sort of increase their ratings or to get attention. And then it just starts adding negativity into the space. You're not really learning anything. Um, and it just, I mean, you know how like YouTube works. Like there's a story, and then there's people that respond to the story, and then there's people that respond to the people responding to the story, and then the people that responded to the story responded to the response on their response. And then you just start
yeah,
in this like vortex of like nonsense BS. And you're like,
yeah.
nobody's learning anything. Nobody's, no value is happening here. No new games are
Yeah,
being spotlighted.
yeah. I think there's a lot of like trying to use the social media algorithms in like other contexts happening, like in like you said, newsprint. Even like the small local papers that are still around are like often owned by an umbrella company, and they're
Yeah.
centralizing the distribution of stories and leads and all of that stuff and cutting back on their staff, which means yeah, you have staff that's expected to do more with less all the time, and often it just leads to them just hanging out on social media, seeing what other people are talking about, and that's really easy to get a false impression of reality just because you're basing it on secondhand sources at, at a baseline. So like yeah, you can't really like the people who are out there making stuff are too generally too busy to tell other people about it. So you need like active journalism in the world, because that's reporting is a lot more than just scheduling time for an interview. Like finding out that there's someone to interview in the first place, and that there's a story to be researched in the first place. And yeah, if you don't have enough staff at your shop, then what are they going to do except desperately search on like Google and social media for like a story that's being fed to them by an algorithm at that point? So
Yeah, and all these sites like IGN specifically looks for larger global, like IGN proper, IGN.com. They look for larger global stories that they know are going to hit, right? So smaller games, regional, community-based stuff usually doesn't make the cut because it's just the audience is so small they don't really uh, care about it. Um, but I think it is important to sort of highlight those things. And if you have all of these, again, I keep saying sort of the same thing in different ways, but if you have all of these websites that are using the same metrics for success, they're just going to inherently move towards the same both structure of articles as well as content. Um, and that's just going to
yeah,
end up, you're just going to end up with a whole bunch of places that are more or less saying the same thing in a different way.
maybe IGN has a way to act like have really good compartmentalization and incentive cutoffs where they can actually say that these are independent labels or whatever. Good on them if they're trying. Like it's like one of those like almost hate the game, like hate the player or hate the game. Like IGN maybe
Can we hate the
you
player and
know
the game?
yeah, kind of like a little bit of both is the problem. If the player is asking for like supporting, if the players are supporting a game with bad rules, then yeah, you got a little both there. But so even if they are responsible stewards, they're still like, yeah, we want to own everything. So like, that's just an inherently monopolistic attitude. If they didn't want to own everything, they could easily not own everything. That's well within their power to to divest. And
Sure.
but they got stakeholders, and they're getting pressure from whoever whoever might be owning shares and stakes. Um, yeah, it's tough to change a system like that. But
Yeah, well, I guess, I mean, we're in it. This is reality, so we'll see what that ends up looking like. I mean,
see people stop reading, I guess. Like that would be the power of the people to vote with their feet. Um,
yeah, yeah. I mean, the big one for me, Digital Foundry, um, and then gamesindustry.biz. I mean, we use a lot of gameindustrybiz's as content for the sandbox because they're the ones that are doing a lot of business-based stuff. So I would hate to see those move away in favor. Like this is a problem we have, if you want to call it a problem, but like with GDEX, for example, is um, just on pure numbers of people, there are far more gamers and game enthusiasts than there are game developers, right? So this podcast, for example, being about the business of games and less about like specific games and talking about, like, oh, here's the latest cool game coming out. It inherently is more of a niche market. Like the
mhm.
audience is going to be much smaller. So those kind of
Almost like
groups,
the intersection
yeah. So
representing.
GDEX kind of does a little bit of both, where we're like about game developers and gamers. But when you're looking at doing something with a more smaller niche audience, you need to make sure that it's a more engaged audience, right? So you're trading volume for kind of engagement.
Yeah,
But
you want to.
proper is going for volume.
True. They are just going. They're just saying like they're just grabbing what people are already reading and like kind of capturing those eyeballs, I guess.
Yeah.
Rather than trying to like make something new that like can pull in an audience from all over, including people who aren't currently reading some kind of source for this stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and the I guess yeah, if we want to appeal to gamers and to game devs, you want to make sure that it appeals to the union of the set, like rather than just the intersection, because then you end up, yeah, you're only got the attention of the absolute most high energy devoted people who are passionate about playing and making games, and that's just such a small cohort. But that is like kind of the beating heart of it, though. So
Yeah.
if you appeal to those folks and you also appeal to more casual folks of all stripes, then ideally you
Like,
got a pretty good viewer
I don't know.
base
Do
there.
you go to Digital Foundry at all, Tom?
Not really. Yeah,
That sort of
I
surprises me. It seems like it would be right up your alley
it probably
because
is.
that's all like deep technical dives into like they'll look at a game and
Yeah,
they'll do like performance analysis on it where they're like really digging into um like the Fallout games just had a next gen patch that coincided with the TV show, and they went through and they were like doing a deep dive on all the Fallout 4 for Xbox and PlayStation, and doing frame rate checks and all that kind of stuff. So I always like their performance reviews for games. I think are really interesting,
yeah. No, it does
and
seem it definitely is up my alley for sure.
it's really informative. Like we had a oh excuse me, so sleepy. When we were talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro, Digital Foundry had a lot of really great thoughts on, why are they making the tech decisions they're making, and all that kind of stuff. So, um, I think that's that kind of like niche audience that I'm talking about, where like I don't think most gamers want to sit around for a 30 to 45-minute conversation about, all these technical specification kind of things. But
Mhm.
like I'll have it in the background if it's like something I'm interested in, or a game that I'm kind of looking at. I am kind of curious, like what is the game doing behind the scenes that I can learn from, or I can be knowledgeable about. Like why, for example, is a certain game like unable to hit a frame rate even on a really strong GPU? Like what's going on with the CPU that's locking it to that, preventing
Yeah,
it
or
from doing it?
or the software. Yeah, it's
Yeah, the
often the
software.
software's fault.
Um,
I'm scrolling through their site. It's actually striking to me that they have a tag for video because I can't find any non-video content. Maybe I have
oh
to
yeah,
go really far back.
I just look at their YouTube channel, so I only watch their videos.
Yeah,
So I don't.
yeah, their website was it's just like kind of linking to the YouTube, but
Mm,
yeah, because that's kind of I do like written articles. I appreciate them. I got like YouTube itself is just hard to compete with because there's a lot of super talented individual like creators that are
yeah,
like doing making all kinds of content. Like it's so hard to have like a central shop that's like we're gonna compete in this space as like a creator, and now they're a creator within YouTube. Like it's an interesting thing about platform. um but yeah, I do really like when because it's hard to get, especially with modern games, it's hard to get access to actual the inner workings, especially of the software. That what hardware is in your console, and like kind of the side of the interface that you interact with, but most of the games are like compiled down to like kind of unreadable bytecode and things,
yeah.
and you gotta like reverse compile them, and it gives you like a very limited understanding of what the actual source code looks like. um so that's always getting be able to get a glimpses like that, and kind of need groups like that have a history of making content like that, because that's what studios are going to be comfortable opening up with. So like
But I also think,
you might.
sorry,
Yeah,
I didn't mean to
no, go
jump on you
ahead.
there. Stuff also is just getting insanely complicated. Like I feel like I'm in it. I'm a pretty smart guy, and I'm constantly trying to figure stuff out. Like TVs now have so many different features, and like TVs all come with like AI, and I use that loosely. It's really just kind of
Mhm.
like algorithmic contrast and color changing and whatever. So if you want to call that AI, sure, fine, whatever. Um, every platform now has AI where it's like, let AI look at your writing, and we can provide you, everything's not AI, right? Are you really intelligent, or are you just kind of cross-referencing English phrasing, but
Mhm.
whatever. That's not the point. But the point is like, I got my TV, my LG OLED, and the first thing I had to do was like go through and change or disable a ton of the settings because they're all like really annoying. I actually bought a service remote so I could get into the hidden settings of my TV, which avoids my warranty. Um, but I wanted to turn off the OLED TVs, has this like automatic like brightness thing that's designed to prevent like burn in.
Mhm.
But when you're playing a game and you're like moving from area to area, the TV's constantly changing brightness on you, and it's really frustrating. And I find it really annoying. Um, and so I had to go in and change it. And places like Digital Foundry, and there's another guy. I should look him up. Let me look him up and give him a little plug. But they're the people that like dig into that kind of stuff that I can like watch, and it will tell me, okay, what settings do I need to change? Or, this doesn't seem to be working. Like when Fallout came out, the Fallout 4 patch for Xbox, um, you could change it between performance mode, 60 FPS, and high fidelity visual mode, 30 FPS. On Xbox, keep in mind, Fallout's a game by Bethesda, which is owned by Microsoft, didn't even work. Like the game was
Mhm.
always stuck in performance mode, even if you selected quality mode. And people are just like, this doesn't seem right. And Digital Foundry, they went through and they did the analysis on it. Even when Bethesda was like, no, it's working perfectly fine, Digital Foundry was like, no, it's not. Like you can toggle the mode in the menu, but it doesn't do anything. They finally fixed it, but like having a resource like that can really kind of dig into that kind of thing, I think is super important. But I don't know how many HDTV test um, is the YouTube channel, and I don't know what the guy's name is. Let me see if it lists his name. YouTube's leading voice on TV technology. He's I think a British Asian guy. I think he lives in the UK. Um, but he's great. HD TV test YouTube channel. Give you a plug.
Mhm.
But I mean, that's talking about like, what are the best TVs? And he's got a video about like, here's all the settings you should change when you get your TV. And
Yeah.
he does like color, like true color calibration and all that stuff. Um, Wrapping it back around, that is the thing that I was, I'm worried about with the IGN takeover. Yeah, we got a comment. I think it is. I haven't actually tested um, Resident Evil 8 to see if that fixes it or not, but I think that might have been what it is because you and I were playing RE8 for Game Club, and I just noticed at certain points it would just keep getting. Now, sometimes that's done in software as part of like the rendering pipeline, and that's the thing is like, is the PlayStation doing it? Is the game
Yeah.
doing it? Is the
Yeah.
TV doing it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. And that I think my big pet peeves are very sophisticated systems being just called AI. Like the term is really losing meaning in the spectrum of software
Yeah,
complexity.
because everyone wants to invest in AI. Like Jamio, our event app, we could
Yeah.
argue that has an AI component to it.
Yeah, I'd be opposed to us arguing that, but we could argue that. Yeah, like we
Hey
could
man, if
say
someone's gonna
like
give us
it's
like $5 million if we put
yeah,
AI on there,
we didn't train it on like a learning model or anything. It's just a sophisticated set of rules. I mean, it really is like yeah, and only the people who write the software actually know. And if they're willing to just be like, yeah, call it AI, that's fine. And then as a marketing buzzword, there's
yeah.
definitely an AI bubble, 100%.
There was a
Uh,
great article a couple of months ago about, or maybe it was an interview, but talking about AI, and the AI black box. I forget
Mhm.
what they called it. It was like the black heart or something. I don't know, some term. But where like a lot of AI development, there's like the code and the algorithms, and then the information kind of goes into this black box that produces a result. And even the developers on some of these systems don't 100% understand what's going on
Yeah,
when it goes
right.
into
And the
the
rules
box.
that surround it, and then it is because it's based on like all that training and all that data. Just those,
Yeah.
it's like the neural connections in the brain. We talk about the brain with the same kind of terms. Like there's the kind of observable, conscious, like psychologist kind of side where you can talk to someone and see how they react to things and like what how their brain works from an external perspective. But there's like, and we know like we've sliced brains open, so we've seen how they're connected, and we know like we've even figured out like a lot of the neurons, they're like they have like little five dendrites, so they're sort of like a base 5 computer in the way that they're linked with each other and the way they can represent like numbers and stuff. So we know a lot of like low level stuff, we know a lot of high level stuff, but it's that part in the middle that's like where the magic happens, that it's just like an emergent behavior based on those rules. And yeah, there's like like the Tarn Adams, like we'll look at Dwarf Fortress. That game does not have AI in it. It's an extremely sophisticated set of rules, but it can lead to outcomes that the creator can't fully explain, because it's like that they can go through and list all the variables involved, but the way those variables are interrelated and the weights that they're assigned is like just all based on the rules themselves, and nobody touched it, so nobody looked at it and nobody knows exactly what's going on there. But
Hmm.
yeah, so it's yeah, AI research is, I've like learned enough about it to know that it gets very philosophical and very esoteric very quickly, and you need to like
Oh, sure.
uh like think about like just trying to avert the extremes, and then just like compromising with all the stuff in the middle that you just don't have a way to understand without maybe another AI telling you what it means. Like
Hmm.
write the AI that just analyzes the AI black box and can tell researchers what's going on with another AI brain, maybe. But I mean, it's we're spending a lot of electricity to have computers look at themselves. Uh, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Oop.
Like,
Oh, yeah, totally. Yeah, absolutely.
um, but
Oops,
yeah, and with like things like, so that's one
see what
pet
we do
peeve, is
there.
like stuff being called AI that's like just fancy, like stuff that any computer programmer can write. I mean, the other thing is like creators on YouTube, like anywhere really, but like whenever an effort seems like it's only one person, but it's actually a whole secret team behind that one person. Because like a lot of YouTubers are like that, or it's like, wow, this one person is super talented and skilled and good at video editing, and it's like, oh yeah, there's like 5 people employed by that one person that you're watching.
Hmm.
And I think that kind of, that's sort of a, having the secrecy of the team is sort of like, I feel like it erodes at what in like
Yeah,
business what people think is possible. It makes people
it definitely,
expectations like
yeah,
higher.
there is we're kind of getting off the railroad here, but there definitely is a, like when I play games, right? So I'm playing Fallout 4 right now. And when I first started playing it, when it came out originally, I wasn't super hot on it. I just thought it was kind of disjointed and I wasn't really sure. But then I went back and started playing it when the TV show came out. I was like, oh, I'll give it a shot. And I saw they have this survival mode where you have to eat and drink and you can't fast travel. So you have to walk everywhere and it's like super hard. I was like, all right, I'll give this a shot. And like, I absolutely, it's like I see it now. Like, I see what this game was supposed to be. This isn't a game where you fast travel back and forth for quests. This is a game where you're like, I'm going to go out in this direction and see what's out here and collect stuff and try to survive and then work my way. Even before I started, when I was playing this morning, I was like, oh, I'll go see what's going over here in one of the DLCs. And I just got rocked by robots to the point where like my power arm was completely busted. I'm like slow crawl limping because both my legs are broken back to my base, a step at a time. And I finally made it back and I was able to heal and everything. But I was like, oh, this is a game about being in the world and like exploring it and coming across different things. It's not trying to give you this giant checklist of stuff to go do. It's not like Ubisoft or whatever, right? Um, and so I think when you are attempting to construct a game like that, if you look at it as a game developer, which I do, I sort of see the like, wow, this is actually like a pretty amazing game that they made here. Like, there's a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes and under the hood and design wise, that's like really slick. But if you're just looking at it as a gamer, I could see you being like, oh my God, this game's so slow or it's so boring or it's whatever. And just like the way certain things interact in that game behind the scenes, it's like I I feel like Fallout 4 is like a foundation. I think if they would have had like 6 more months to really like flesh out the RPG elements, I think Fallout 4 would be one of the best games ever made. Like straight up. I still think it's a great game, but you can definitely see the underlying RPG stuff doesn't connect as well as it could have had they been maybe given a little bit more time.
Right.
So it depends on how you look at these things too. And I'm always analyze everything I play. I'm always analyzing both as a gamer and as a developer. And I think that gives me a little bit more of an appreciation for like the cool stuff, the slick stuff, the well done stuff. Where I'm like, I mean, the game itself's not great, but like I see what they do here and here, and that's really cool. Um,
Yeah.
but I don't know,
I've always wanted a game. I think this has been done. Actually, kind of like the like old school games did this a lot better than new games tend to do because they almost like the idea of fast travel was just the only thing the game could do. Like I'm thinking like the original Fallout where the overworld is like a kind of
like a
like old
map.
school, yeah, a map where as you're traveling stuff can randomly happen and pull you in
Yeah,
to the local map, and like that's like retro games did that really well because that's what they had to do. I
yeah.
wish like a modern game with like a fast travel system would actually like simulate your character going all the way there and like force you to actually deal with something if like something random happens. That way the game can continue to do its cool like because a lot of the games have really cool like
So Fallout
systems
4 does do
operating when
that
you're
a little
walking
bit.
around and loading. Yeah,
Like even
because
if you
it
fast travel, like time goes
time
by.
passes. Yeah,
Um,
that's a good part of it.
and like there was
But
certain
like
I
yeah.
didn't realize like one of the things you can do in Fallout 4 is like go help settlements or whatever. And I had this thing and I was like, is the game glitched? Because like every time you play a Bethesda game, like there's like a 20% part in the back of your mind where like, is this just bugged? You know?
Mhm.
Um, but I
Yeah.
couldn't find the quest giver to turn it in. I was like, I kept looking at the map and he'd always be in like this different location. I was like, it's like return here and let the settlers know. And so I'd go to the place I was supposed to, but I couldn't find the place to turn it in. I'm like, what the fuck? And it turns out that the quest giver was one of the caravan people that I had assigned because you can assign supply
Oh
lines.
yeah.
So the
Yeah.
reason the little thing was moving across the
Ah,
map is because that's where the person was on the map.
yeah.
So,
And
and of
I
course,
do appreciate Fallout 4 for that.
in
Yeah.
survival, because you can't fast travel, it's like I got to go and like run and find this
Mhm.
person, you know. But I was like, oh, that's actually pretty cool, and the fact that like these characters are literally walking around the world, and if a
Mhm.
character's like in one place and it's like, hey, I'll meet you there, you can follow that character from the city you're in to their next destination. You can just walk with them the whole
Mhm.
time. Or you can go there and then they'll catch up.
Yeah.
Obviously, like they're despawning, they're not being rendered the whole time, but their location data is being tracked
Mhm.
in the background, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
The fact that
If only yeah.
all
If
the
only every
characters have
game full
their own sense of space and time, like
if
that's
only
good.
like if games pulled out like the Red Dead Redemption 2 where like they have like actual conversations for those whole if you chose to walk with a character. So, yeah,
Hmm.
they do that, but
Some of them
unfortunately
do.
it's
Yeah,
super boring to just follow that character unless
yeah,
they get attacked by a bear and then you have a fun random fight with this random character you're following and you're both fighting a bear and that's like
yeah.
I think New
Well,
Vegas had those kinds of moments. I remember like following characters and just like seeing if they would get into trouble and getting into fights with them and
yeah.
like
Yeah,
really
it
fun
creates that
emergent
that
gameplay.
emergent gameplay. Yeah, yeah. I mean, that's
Yeah.
one of the things I wanted for Project Arc. If we ever get back to that, like the way I sell that game is like sort of a space exploration discovery game. But really, what I want to build is like this giant sort of social environmental simulation that takes place over the course of a couple thousand years while you're in space. So, I always call it, it's like, Fallout Shelter meets The Sims meets Battlestar Galactica is kind of how I phrase
Right.
it. But really, it's about what does a society do when you're on a spaceship over the course of 2,000 years, And I think you can do some really, really cool stuff like that. So,
I've
all right,
always really wanted to model the space-time continuum and like you send out a signal, it actually is modeled as like a sphere, and if you're traveling, it's modeled as like a stretched sphere. That kind of thing is
yeah,
really
yeah.
fun.
I've thought about ways of how do you create like temporal distortion due to speed and whatnot. Uh,
Yeah,
Now,
it's
obviously, you
very
can't simulate that accurately because you would need like a supercomputer to do it. But how can you kind of like you know massage it a little bit
right.
to do it?
It
But
helps if we're a single-player game, so we can have it all based on the player's frame of reference.
yeah. So I want to do
Uh,
this last one just because we're about to run out of time here. But this is on gamingindustry.biz. Low cost regions are key to industry rebuilding. As companies start to rebuild development capacity lost in mass layoffs and closures, much of the focus will be on growing new studios away from traditional high cost areas. And this is from Rob Fahey. So this article I would highly recommend reading because this is pretty much what we do here at Multivarious and GDEX is we're trying to create a game industry in Ohio and the Midwest based around, you know, high quality talent, good infrastructure without having to make these giant companies in expensive areas like San Francisco. So, Tom, what do you think?
building your business around somebody else's real estate purchases 100 years ago. That doesn't sound cool. Like I'm glad we can do our thing here in our hometown,
Yeah,
like
I think
our
that
home state.
I think there's a lot of opportunities. Obviously we have GDEX. I'm working on getting an accelerator up and running. We have the Sandbox, which was the second largest gaming incubator in the Midwest until COVID hit. And now we're looking at, obviously, we do the email and we have this weekly show. But the next step in this process, excuse me, is figuring out how do we create a digital incubator and what kind of services do we want to offer and pricing and all of that, And I think it's pretty exciting to be able to create a focused professional community that is providing people opportunities.
Yeah, I would say we have partial progress in that because our annual game jams tend to just
Yep,
essentially be like
we have our game jams.
kickstarting, like yeah, well, yeah, like it's sort of like because like in order to incubate something, you gotta have the egg, and like the game jam's good at like making the eggs. So if we had an incubator, then
Sure.
we would be able to put the eggs in there instead of hoping that they incubate themselves and hatch. Because
Mm,
we have had success stories where like yeah, Afro Duck, like that's a huge one. Like they
yeah,
spent
there's been
lucky.
lots of success stories both for the game jams and for GDEX in general.
They have so much determination and like they stay on message. Like I follow the Afro Duck Studios like Instagram, and they're so like determined like on their path as like not having the kind of funding you would need to just actually do it full time and get the game done, but like to be like they have a vision that has not wavered, and they've been putting out content consistently supporting the game that they're working on like every 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 other day for like the last years. Like so it's like super impressive that that kind of passion can just come emerge like kind of almost fully formed from this area. So got a lot of good environments for people to like build themselves up in. And um yeah, excited to like if we can get something more formal to like capture some of these nascent groups as they meet each other and spring up out of whole cloth, and like help them make sure that we they don't fall through the cracks and stuff. Like that would be huge. It's like
Yeah,
a
absolutely.
glacial progress process that's just going to keep building on itself the longer we keep
Yeah,
doing it.
trying to do this in this area is extremely hard. I've been, to be young again, how naive I was. I was like, because I started this when I was 29, 30, kind of doing multivarious. And then I was like, okay, by the time I'm 40, we should be able to have this all work. And now I'm 42 and I'm still banging my head against the wall trying to make this all happen.
Mhm.
A lot of good lessons learned along the way, and I'm far more capable and competent than I am now, or than I was. But it's really, really hard to build an industry in an area that just is not used to it, and to be honest, in many ways, doesn't care. And so, pushing that. But I think the opportunity is there, and I'm starting to see a lot of things
Yeah,
connect together in really, really interesting ways. So
yeah.
I
I,
just got to keep
I'd say
building and find the
they
right
do care.
partners.
They just don't know how to. They don't know how to care. Like they care about business growth. They care about like
Yeah,
the
they care
kinds
about
of
startups and business growth and industry building, but they just
yeah,
don't know how to support it, and they're not really sure if they want to put the money into it. So they
yeah.
end up
They
putting the money
yeah,
into the same stuff.
yeah. But we've definitely met and created more people who are sharing our vision, and we just getting more traction every time. So it's like starting a
Yeah,
fire. You got to keep be persistent. Yeah. Or like
yeah,
that meme of the miner that gives up when they're just like an inch away from like the mother lode. You ever see that meme format? Little
no,
like sketch cartoon doodle of the little miner with a tunnel and he's almost there but he gave up and it's like, oh yeah, this is I think the classic format is like
here
every
I'll look it up here.
yeah,
Okay, yeah, I see
gambler.
it.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But
So that's ultimately this is the trick, right? This is the trick in all this. This is a trick in everything in life. But in this case, startups and businesses, you keep pushing and you keep working, and like you have to trust and have faith that it's going to work out, right? But there's no guarantee it's going to work out. There may never be diamonds beyond the wall or
mhm,
gold or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
Um, and we keep doing this thing day in and day out, and there's some months where we make like no money. Like we pay ourselves like $1,000, and then there's some months where we're able to pay ourselves, $10,000 or whatever. Um, but there's no guarantee at the end of this, and you just got to keep pushing. And I think the key is that you try to build a solid foundation for yourself, so that no matter what happens, you're okay. And then as long as you're okay, your bills are paid, you're able to eat, all that stuff. You're not running towards riches or whatever, but you're doing okay. Then you can keep pushing forward. But if you're always on the precipice of collapsing, which our business has been many times in the past, it makes it very, very difficult. And that's where ultimately, when these people like city council or economic development or whatever, when they're like, oh yeah, we want to have a gaming industry here, that would be amazing to have a video game industry, but they're not willing to put any support or money into it. I was just like, well, what do you think's going to happen when somebody who has like, I have two master's degrees, I could be making far more money than I am now. And
Mhm.
I don't have a family though. My expense load is pretty small, or I don't have kids, I should say. Um, I can kind of push through the lean times, but there's a lot of people who are just like going to be like, screw this, man. I'm just going to go
Mhm.
get a 9 to 5 job where I can be making, 80, 100, $120,000 a year. And even though it might be sort of soul crushing and I'm not going to enjoy the job as much, at least I don't have to worry about money.
Yeah.
And you can't, it's really hard to build an industry when there's no backing or safety net or support for folks.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
And then you got kind of a double-edged sword because then you'll get have student like a group that does have time to, or like does have the spare means to like work on a project, but if they don't already have some of the things that you only learn from experience, like how to properly use source control and how to properly like have a central vision document that doesn't change, then often it is like pushing a boulder up the hill, and if you stop ever then it's going to be sliding back down the hill where you really want some, at the very least, some steps so you can get the boulder
yeah.
to the next step
That's
and it's chill to just stay there and it's not
yeah,
going to
that's kind
roll
of the
backwards on you.
that's the entrepreneur mindset, is like you always people talk about, how great it is to be an entrepreneur and have your own business and stuff. It's like, I mean, I the fact that I could just like pretty much take a day off if I need to is great. I've got total control of my schedule, which is great. But also, if I don't work and bring in the business, I don't get paid. You know, if I can't bring in a client to send to you to do dev work, we don't get paid. Um, and so there's always that feeling that if you stop, it's all going to collapse. It's
Mm-hmm.
all going to fall apart. And that's a scary place to be in. And a lot of people don't want to be in that place. It's not for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
But if you can build an industry where there actually is jobs and employment, then you can begin to get some of those other people, highly talented people, highly passionate people, into the system who ordinarily would not want to do the more startup-y thing.
Right. You'll get
But
the more people with experience you build up, the easier it'll be to create lasting groups and products and things. So
yeah. Well, on that
yeah.
note, this has been episode 24 of the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast. I think we had a really great conversation.
Yeah.
Um, Just a couple quick things before we go. Reminder that GDEX is still going, so we're selling tickets. If you want to attend, if you want to exhibit, you can apply to exhibit. If you want to do speak or experience, so if you want to do a speaking session or a workshop, or even if you just want to, like, I don't know, host a board game or a D&D session or something, apply, and we can build a schedule or build you into the schedule.
You want to
And then,
volunteer,
of
you can come for
course,
free.
yeah, if you volunteer, we'll give you a free pass. And of course, you can go to thesandbox.space and sign up for our weekly email, where we send out this video as well as the articles that we talk about today. So you can read up on those and stay up to date on the gaming thing. But yeah, just come and be a part of the community, the GDEX community. We would love to have you. So, with all that being said, I want to thank you for watching. Again, I am your host, Chris, joined as always by Baby Girl, Pumpkin, and our special guest, Tom. Thank you, Tom, for being on the show today.
My pleasure. It's fun.
A reminder that we do the Sandbox.Space weekly podcast every week. We stream it live on twitch.tv slash the GDEX. And then we post the videos on our YouTube, which is at GDEX TV is our YouTube. So please join us on when we do it live. Ask us questions. We like to interact with the audience, and then of course like us and subscribe and all that stuff on our social medias. So thank you all for watching. We're glad to be back from the break, and we will see you next week.